Welcome to the Work in Process podcast. Thank you so much for joining me again today on this episode. The year is running to an end, and I've been wanting to do a recording on a particular subject that has been running through my mind, and I've been trying to look for a perfect time to do the recording so that I record properly. But today I just realized there would not be any perfect time. Just do what you want to do and send it out there. But before I jump into what it is I want to talk about today on this episode, I'll first of all like to take this opportunity to thank everybody that has supported the podcast this year, the Daily Becoming newsletter, or anything it is that I do. Because thinking about it now, I think I do a lot of stuff. I think I do a lot of all these things. But some people have been very consistent, following me, asking when am I going to release another episode, when am I going to drop a particular episode, and all those kind of things. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. Some days I really don't know what to do. I want to like give up, kind of, not like I will give up, but I want to. But that call, that text, that voice note, oh David, I listened to this and it taught me this, will just make me feel like, okay, at least there's still somebody out there in the world that is listening to whatever it is I'm talking about. And I also like to appreciate and thank everybody that I had on my podcast this year. Every single soul that I had on my podcast this year, I would like to appreciate them, from ACF Space, that's Excel, to Femi Fonds, Femio, Peace, Divine, Chega Biri, amazing guy. Um, the vision of the podcast is not yet what it's is going to be, but at least with what I did this year, I believe that I've done well. I believe that I've done well. And I know some of you will be shocked that why is this episode going like this today? I just want it to be a normal, regular episode, just me documenting, just like as if I'm sending a voice note to you. I know, like I'm just trying to sound wise and intelligent and stuff like that. So it's just very raw, very random. I just wanted to pick out something from what it is I'm thinking about. And I hope you also had a great year. I hope you also had a great year. I hope you had an amazing year. And I hope you are ready for 2025. And this podcast episode is not the kind of one that I'll be telling you that get ready for 2025. What are your plans? What are your these? Which is fine if you have that. That's good. But that's not what I want to talk about on this episode. I don't even think I'll be saying something like that, because I've realized that time travels fast, irrespective of what it is that we are doing or we are not doing. So everything still boils down to you actually doing something, irrespective of the time you actually do something. That's deep, Abby. Let me come. Let me see if I can come back again. Everything boils down to you actually doing something, irrespective of the time you actually do something. So if you are 85 years old, when you start doing, that's when you start seeing the result. So it doesn't mean if you're 85, 25, it's when you start doing that you start seeing the result. So what actually happened was that during our national conference, Global God Conference 2024, amazing conference, a couple of my friends came to meet me, and they asked me questions like they normally do. I enjoy receiving their questions and answering their questions. And one of them asked me, she said, bro, that's what they call me. She said, bro, I joined a particular master class and I had that. She said, I had that turn your greatest failure into your biggest motivation, something around that line. And that was what she asked me. She was like, is it true? I was wondering, is it true? Am I the one that would say it's true or not true? But I made her to understand that what the person was trying to say was that don't give up, don't look down on yourself. You know, the whole motivational stuff, which is fine. I used to tell people motivational stuff is okay. Just make sure that you end up doing something. Is good, motivational, inspirational is very okay. But don't let motivation turn to entertainment. I made that post on my page on Twitter, I think last month, and it didn't really get any engagement, but I just had to drop it there because I wanted to keep it for myself. Because a lot of people are like me, we just like it. We like encouragement, we like motivation. So that's what is on our timeline every time. So to us now, it's not entertainment. So what we are receiving from those motivational write-ups or motivational talks is entertainment, no more action. Something needs to propel you to action. So I started to um, break down the quotes that she gave me, that turn your greatest failure into your biggest motivation. Very true. But I realized that okay, I don't want these uh, ladies to get into the stage that I got myself into. I'm no longer there, but that I got myself into by just, you know, documenting all these quotes and being quotey. You just be giving nuggets anywhere you go. Just say this, that. So and so said this. I didn't want their own case to be like that. So I told them something. I said, listen, everything you do or everything you engage in, never leave it alone until there is a call to action. Until there is a call to action on everything you do. That is every book you read, every podcast you listen to, every song you listen to, every content you consume, every conversation you have with friends. No matter what it is, anything you do, just make sure that there is a call to action at the end of it. And what do I mean by that? A call to action simply means just make sure that you leave there with something to do after, or else it's just a waste of time. Or else you have just wasted time. You just read the book for entertainment, and it's possible you can read book for entertainment purposes too, whether fiction or not fiction. You can read them for entertainment purposes also. So I told them, I said, whatever it is that you do, make sure at the end of it there is a call to action. So the call to action can be, oh, I have to start journaling. I have to start writing out my visions. I have to start eating properly. I have to start. Then just make sure there is a call to action at the end of every conversation you have. Your own call to action may be, I have to start enjoying myself more. Your own call to action may be, I have to start resting more. Your own call to action may be, I have to cut down the number of books I'm reading because I'm having a kind of information overload. It doesn't have to be the same for everybody, but just make sure that at the end of everything you do, as you're dropping or removing your pods or whatever it is you are using to listen to this podcast, take a call to action out of the podcast with you. Only then would I say I'm fulfilled, and only then would you have not wasted your time. Is that English correct? But only then would you would you have not wasted your time listening to me. So just make sure there's a call to action. Okay, this content I'm about to consume, what would I quickly pick out from it? Or what can I pick out from it at the end of the day? It's just like the way they used to say, find a lesson in everything that you do. But this one, what I'm saying here is not. It may not necessarily be a lesson like, oh, this is what I learned. You may not learn anything, but make sure you are prepared to do something. Because if we are always seeking to learn something from every content we consume, we may miss the point of actually consuming such content. Some contents are not supposed to make us to learn something. Some content are supposed to push us to do something. But because we have already conditioned ourselves to always want to learn something from a content, we just want to learn. So we are used to learning. We have written so much notes. We have written so much affirmations that we actually don't do anything. And I remember making a podcast episode. I think that's season one of the first episode of the podcast I made, called the HHYM syndrome. That's the hmm, yeah, yeah. I named my podcast title in a funny way, just because I can do whatever it is I like with that. But I called it a syndrome because some people just like it. Let's just listen to something that is very profound and deep and just shout, yes, yes, sir, you are right, sir. Deep, carry on, sir. Yes, he's right, very true. But if at the end of the day, what he's saying didn't push you to do anything, then that means that you have wasted your time and you have wasted his time if you are the only one who was talking to. So, what am I trying to say here is just that I encourage those ladies. I told them, I said, okay, that's fine. I like the way you came to ask me this question. I'm honored and I'm privileged to answer the question. But please make sure next time, anything you are consuming, don't just leave there with a quote. Don't leave there with lessons learned. Leave there with a call to action. Leave there with a call to action. And that's what I would like to leave you guys with today. everything you do, everything you're learning, every content you're consuming, please make sure you leave there with a call to action. And that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm also in that on that process. I'm also on that journey in such a way that I don't really even consume much content again. And I did a lot of rereading books this year because I'm looking for the call to action now. No more the lessons learned. I have several lessons learned that I can share, but it's not enough again. Now it's time for call to action. Call to action. Call to action. What do I do after this? Then you now graduate into another phase of, okay, how do I do it? So that's for another day. Don't let me make this podcast so long. So you graduate into another phase of, how do I do what it is that I know to do? And that's another phase I'm also trying to break down. How do I do what it is that I know how to do? So that's just what it is. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for enjoying the podcast. And I hope you leave this podcast listening session, or whatever it is you call it, with a call to action. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.